Hey guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel Karma Life Science Academy. In this lecture, we are going to learn about immunology, part 2, immunity or immune system. In this lecture, we are going to learn immunity or immune system. So, without delay, let's get started. The immune system is a combination of organs, cells, proteins, and tissue. So, the immune system is a combination of organs, cells, proteins, and tissues. This system is responsible for protecting the body from foreign pathogens. So, this immune system is responsible for protecting the body from foreign pathogens and also clearing away dead and malfunctioning cells. So, it is responsible for protecting body from foreign pathogens and clearing away dead and malfunctioning cells. Cells that are not functioning properly, it help in clearing of dead cell and malfunctioning cells. So, immunity or immune system is a two types. It is a mainly two types. First one is innate immunity. First one is innate immunity and second is adaptive immunity. First is innate immunity and second is adaptive immunity. So, in this lecture, we are going to learn one by one. First is innate immunity. So, I am going to discuss first is innate immunity in detail. Innate immunity is general and non-specific. So, innate immunity is general and non-specific. It is not specific to any particular pathogens or foreign organisms. It is a first line of defense against pathogen. So, innate immunity is a first line of defense against pathogen or foreign particles. It is a short/immediate. So, innate immunity response is short/immediate for few times. Can be inherited. Can be inherited means we are getting innate immunity by birth from maternal side. We are getting from birth. Cannot remember pathogens. So, cannot remember pathogen means it doesn't have any memory to any particular pathogens or organisms. If any particular organism is infecting to the host or body system, innate immune system is not remembered to those pathogen or foreign organisms. So, it doesn't have any particular memory for any particular pathogen. Present at birth. So, we are getting innate immunity at birth. So, it is known as by birth immunity. Found in both vertebrates and invertebrates. So, innate immunity is present in vertebrates and in invertebrate also. It is present in both. Example of innate immunity is skin, mucous membrane, epithelial cells, phagocytic cells, etc. So, innate immunity example is our skin, our mucous membrane, epithelial cells, phagocytic cells, etc. A cut on the skin, if it results in swelling and inflammation, is an example of innate immunity at work. So, if any cut on our skin, if after cutting we are getting swelling or any inflammation in our body, so it is an example of innate immunity. Like in this mechanism, innate immunity is working. So, if we are getting any infection or any wound or healing, or we are getting any swelling or inflammation, is an example of innate immunity. So, immunity is basically two types: innate immunity or adaptive immunity. So, earlier we discussed immunity is two types: innate immunity and adaptive immunity. Adaptive immunity is further two types: natural and artificial. So, adaptive immunity is further two types: natural adaptive immunity and artificial adaptive immunity. In case of natural immunity, it is further two types: passive or active. Passive and active. In case of artificial adaptive immunity, it is also two types: passive and active. So, adaptive immunity is two types: natural and artificial. Natural is two types: passive and active, and artificial is also two types: passive and active. So, means adaptive immunity is two types: natural passive immunity, natural active immunity, and artificial passive immunity, artificial active immunity. So, in coming lectures, we are looking in detail about adaptive immunity and their subtypes, natural and artificial. In this lecture, we are going to learn innate immunity in detail. Innate immunity in detail. So, just quick overview of natural and artificial immunity. Natural passive immunity we are getting from maternal side. Natural passive immunity, natural passive adaptive immunity we are getting from maternal side, and natural active adaptive immunity we are getting after infection. So we are getting natural active immunity after infection. In case of artificial passive immunity we are getting after antibody transfer. So antibody transfer from one body to another body system is an example of artificial passive immunity. And artificial active immunity we are getting after immunization, like if we are taking any vaccine or any immunization is known as artificial active immunity. So immunization is an example of artificial active immunity. So it is a overview summary, quick overview of natural artificial passive active and artificial passive active immunity. We are going to learn innate immunity first. First we are going innate immunity in detail. Innate immunity is a natural, native, non-specific immunity. So innate immunity is a natural, like we are getting from nature, like by birth. It is a native. Native means we are getting at birth. Non-specific immunity means it is non-specific, means not specific to any particular organism. It is a kind of general immunity. Is the first line of defense present in healthy individual. So it is a first line of defense that is present in healthy individual. It is a non-specific. The resistance is static. Static means it doesn't improve with repeated exposure. Static means it does not improve with any repeated exposure. There is no memory on subsequent exposure, like it doesn't have any memory to particular any pathogens. If any pathogen is infecting again and again, it doesn't have any memory for subsequent exposure. It is a natural immunity, includes soluble chemicals. Example, complement proteins, fibronectins, interferons, and cells like NK cells. PMN means polymorphonuclear cells like neutrophils, basophils, monocytes, macrophages, and eosinophils. So all these soluble chemicals, complement proteins, fibronectin, interferon, NK cells, PMN cells, monocytes, macrophages, and eosinophils are the example of innate immunity. The barriers of innate immune system. So in these slides we are going to learn about barriers. What are the main barriers of innate immune system that play important role in innate immunity? So first is physical oblique anatomical barrier. So first is anatomical or physical barrier. In the anatomical barriers, first is tight junction. There is many types like tight junction, subcutaneous glands, and mucous membrane. All three comes under physical and anatomical barriers. In tight junction, the function of tight junction is in the epidermal skin layer. So tight junction involving epidermal skin layer, waterproof and block UV rays. So tight junction maintain the skin epidermal cells waterproof and block the UV rays. So it inhibit the UV rays to come in our skin. So the tight junction involving proper maintaining of our skin layers or epidermal layer. Second is subcutaneous glands. Subcutaneous glands include dermis. Subcutaneous glands include in the dermis contain fatty acids maintaining a pH of 3 to 5. So subcutaneous glands have dermis that contain fatty acids that is maintaining a pH of 3 to 7. 3 to 7 pH inhibit the growth of microorganisms or any foreign pathogens and maintaining our skin. Next is mucous membrane. Mucous membrane traps microorganisms. So mucous membrane play important role in trapping foreign pathogens or any particular organisms that are coming or embedding to our body system. So all tight junction, subcutaneous glands, and mucous membrane comes under physical oblique anatomical barriers. Second barrier of innate immune system is mechanical removal or mechanical barrier. In mechanical barriers, there is a mucus, cilia, cough and sneeze reflex, vomiting and diarrhea, flushing of body fluids. All these types come under mechanical removal of foreign pathogens. So in mucus in respiratory tract. The function of mucus is in respiratory tract. microorganism trapping and attachment prevention by the mucus. So mucus involved in microorganism trapping and attachment prevention by the mucus. So it trap the microorganism so that microorganism not able to inhibit or invade into our body system. So it prevent invading of microorganism or trapping the microorganism. Second is cilia. Cilia propel the mucus and trap microorganisms toward the site of removal. So it propels the mucus and trap microbes toward the site of removal. Cough and sneeze reflex. Cough and sneeze reflex involve in respiratory tract removal of microorganisms from the body. So cough and sneeze reflex come under respiratory tract and it removes the microorganism from the body. So cough and sneeze also help in removal of microorganisms. Vomiting and diarrhea. In GIT tract, the removal of toxins and pathogens from the GI tract. So vomiting and diarrhea also involved in removal of toxins and pathogens from gastrointestinal tracts. Last is flushing of body fluids. It is a kind of systemic fluids such as tears, urine, saliva and sweat also flush microorganisms from the body. So such as tears, urine, saliva and sweat also flush out microbes from the body. So all these mucus, cilia, cough, sneeze, vomiting, diarrhea and all the fluids involved in removal of pathogens from the body system. So it comes under mechanical removal. So we saw the physical barriers. In physical barriers there is a tight junction, subcutaneous gland and mucous membrane. Second is in mechanical removal there is a mucus, cilia, cough, vomiting, diarrhea. All these processes comes under mechanical removal. Third is physiological barrier. In physiological barriers, temperature, pH comes under physiological barriers. Their function is, the function of temperature is normal body temperature, slow down by growth of some pathogens. So their function is normal body temperature maintain and slow down the growth of some pathogens. So temperature play involved in maintaining our body temperature and growth of and slow down the growth of some pathogens. Second is pH. The low stomach pH, skin and vaginal pH inhibit microbial growth. So low stomach pH, skin pH and vaginal pH inhibit the microbial growth. So acidic pH inhibit the growth of microorganism and prevent body from infection. So temperature and pH comes under physiological barrier. Next our fourth is chemical barriers. So lysozymes, lactoperoxidase, cryptidins and alpha defensin, beta defensin, surfactant proteins A and D. All 5 proteins comes under chemical barriers. The function of each protein is the lysozyme is a kind of bactericidal enzyme. It is a kind of bactericidal enzyme secreted by the cells found in tears and at the mucous surface. So lysozyme is a bactericidal enzyme secreted by the cells found in tears and at the mucous surface. So lysozyme, what they do? Lysozyme break the cell wall of microorganisms and inhibit the growth of microorganisms. So lysozyme mainly act on breaking of cell wall by breaking the beta 1,4 linkage. Second is lactoperoxidase. Is a mucus secretion. It is a mucus secretion that stimulates cells to produce toxic radicals. So lactoperoxidase is a mucosal secretion. It stimulates the cells. It stimulates cells to produce toxic radicals. That toxic radicals inhibit the growth of microorganism. Third is cryptidins and alpha defensin. Alpha defensin and cryptidins. It is a base of crypt cells in the small intestine. So cryptidins and alpha defensin involved in basement of cryptic cells in small intestine, damage cell membrane. So it involved in damaging the cell membrane of foreign microorganism or pathogens. Beta defensin produced within the skin, respiratory tract, damage cell membrane. So beta defensin is also produced in respiratory tract, skin, and it involved in damaging the cell membrane, and by damaging the cell they inhibit the growth of microorganism. Last is surfactant protein A and D present in lungs, function as opsonine. So all these proteins present in lungs and function as opsonine, involve in opsonization, enhancing the phagocytic activity of cells. So it involve in phagocytosis process and enhance the process of phagocytosis and inhibit the cells or killing of cells. So phagocytosis is a process of engulfing foreign pathogens or microorganisms and breaking down in small pieces. So in this slides we saw the barriers of innate immunity. First we saw the physical or anatomical barrier, second is mechanical removal, and third is physiological barriers, and last is chemical barriers. So we saw the 4 types of barriers of innate immunity and their molecular players and function of each proteins. Next is the innate immune response. What are the processes of immune response that limit the spread of infection? So the function of innate immune response. When tissue damage occurs as a result of trauma or infection. When tissue damage result of trauma or infection, a complex series of cellular and biochemical events occur, which are designed to, if any infection that damage the skin by trauma or infection, a complex of series of cellular biochemical events occur, and which designed to limit the spread of infection, limit the degree of tissue damage, eliminate any microorganisms, repair the damaged tissue. So the function of innate immune response is limit the spread of infection, limit the degree of tissue damage, eliminate any microorganism, repair the damaged tissue. All these functions of innate immune response. Next is innate immune response and inflammation. So in this slide we are going to learn innate immune response and inflammation. How inflammation occur through innate immune system or any foreign pathogen microorganisms. So here is a skin. Healthy skin is not inflamed. So it is a kind of healthy skin. There is no inflammation. So it is a kind of skin and their basement membrane, and it is a effector cells, and inside the skin it is a connective tissue that connects the basement membrane and blood capillary cells. There is a complete normal skin. Second case, surface wound introduces bacteria which activate resident effector cells to secrete cytokines. So surface wound introduce bacteria that activate resident effector cells to secrete cytokines. So there is a wound like date or grit or any blood clot. There is a wound that introduces bacteria or any pathogens. So through wound, bacteria comes under body and it activates our effector cells, and after activation of effector cells produce cytokines. So we can solve the process. Bacteria comes inside our skins and through healing or wound or cutting site, and bacteria activate the effector cells, and after activating of effector cells produce cytokines. It produces cytokines. In third case, vasodilation and increased vascular permeability allow fluid, protein and inflammatory cells to leave blood and enter tissue. So there is a vasodilation and increased vascular permeability. There is a here in this diagram we can saw the vasodilation and vascular permeability is increased due to fluid, protein and inflammatory cells to leave the blood and enter tissue. So the fluid, proteins and all the tissue proteins that are coming inside the tissue. So after inflammation, the protein and fluids comes inside the tissue, invading the tissue. The infected tissue becomes inflamed, causing redness, heat, swelling and pains. So the infected tissue, we can saw the infected tissue through cytokines and different proteins becomes causing redness, heat, swelling and pain. So there is a healthy skin, not inflamed. After infection of bacteria and production of cytokines, the vascular permeability and vasodilation is increased, and the migration of cells and proteins inside the tissue. And after that, the infected tissue becomes inflamed and causing the redness on the skin, heat and swelling and pain on the skin. So through that mechanism, our skin is going to inflame or inflammation occurs. So in this diagram we saw how healthy skin is going to involve in inflammation. or production of redness, heat and swelling and pain. So in this lecture we learned the innate immunity, what is innate immunity, and the different barriers of innate immune system like physical, physiological, chemical and anatomical barriers, and we saw the little part of adaptive immunity. We will learn in detail in coming lectures. We will learn adaptive immunity in coming lectures. So I am going to stop this lecture here and we'll continue next lecture, adaptive immunity, in next class. I hope this lecture was helpful for you. Keep supporting us. Don't forget to subscribe and share Garima Life Science Academy, and please share with your friends and juniors. Thank you.